I know what it looks like. It's not. It's Jawa eyes. Poor Jawa. Never saw it coming. We're going to do some metal casting today. I need a buckle piece, so we're going to cast it in brass. Take a moment to talk about that. I'm going to be heating metal up to a couple thousand degrees Fahrenheit. Super hot. And we're talking brass here, right? And brass is an interesting alloy. It's mostly copper and a little bit of zinc. Copper's melting point is upwards of like 1800. Zinc is like 400. So the zinc tends to boil before the copper is even melted. And it gives it this really cool whitish blue smoke, which is highly toxic. That's zinc oxide. It's highly, highly toxic. None of this is safe. We'll just leave it at that. None of this is safe. I'm going to take full precautions. I'm going to have leather on. I'm going to have bibs, shoes, respirator, glasses, hat, the whole spiel. Don't try any of this at home. And if you do, make sure you do a lot of research before you get into this. Because like I said, zinc poisoning is not necessarily fun. But let me show you what I'm about to do. Like I said, I need a new buckle piece for an art project I'm working on. I made the big one and made the two side catches. They need to be polished, cleaned, you know the whole deal. I'm probably going to make up a couple of molds because I'm melting brass. I may as well, make it worth my time. Speaking of brass, let me show you what we got. This is the brass I plan on using. It's failed casts primarily, the staff of Ra that never really turned out, the Goonies coin that should be copper, not brass, a bunch of buckles, right? These things fail often. They're hard to do. Cool stuff. I call these forbidden brownies because they kind of look like brownies. But we're going to primarily be using spent bullet shells. This bucket's like 3/4 of the way full, halfway full of bullet shells. Make sure they're empty. It's not as dangerous as it seems if it's not, but it's not a thing you want to play with. So that's primarily what we're using for brass. Now to make the mold, there's a couple of things, right? This is a Teton part. It's a parting compound. It's used to make sure the piece pops out and to keep the sand from bonding to the sand. Colander. Another colander. And the sand I use, it's kind of complicated. So let me play it back for a second. We'll talk about sand. So there are a bunch of different types of sand that we can use for this process. Something called green sand, right? It's sand that's been mixed with a certain type of water, and there's a bunch of other stuff you throw in there. I don't like green sand. It doesn't impart the detail I like. I'm using, the brand is called Petrobond. It's an oil-based sand. It's infused. It has a bunch of different chemicals in it. 11 herbs and spices, as it were. It's good. I like it. It creates nice fine detail. The sand clumps together in a manner that makes all of this super easy to do. Let's make a mold. This stuff is relatively sticky. It sticks to everything. I don't want it under my nails, or on my hands, my clothes. So I'm putting on a pair of gloves. These are cast iron flasks. Forgot the word for a minute there. I really like them. They make the whole process so much easier. So I just put my positive in. I have a brush I keep in here. You don't actually need a lot of this stuff. A lot of people use talc or baby powder, or a lot of people go way overboard when it comes to hammering in the sand. I don't. Speaking of which, let me go grab some molder sand. This is what used Petrobond looks like. You have parts where there's charcoal and chalk, or charcoal and burns. There's nothing wrong with it. It still holds together as good as it ever has. Well, maybe not as good as it you know, it's as good once as it ever was. This is what I'm going to use. I don't want to use the new stuff. There's no point in it. That's why I have a wire mesh sieve over there. There's enough messing around. Let's get back to it. So, since I have a moment to talk about the positive here, that's what that piece is called. It's called the positive. These arms are really thin, and a lot of the makers out there who do this kind of thing professionally hit things real hard and this is resin, and it's going to break if I do that. I know that because it's broken when I've done that. You don't need to go crazy with it. You just need to make sure everything is packed in. So all I'm going to do is put some sand in here and just push it around a bit. The finer you can get your sand, the more detail you're going to capture. And you don't need to do the whole thing through the sieve. You only need to do that for the top. The rest of it, you can just break in and put in. I found hand pressure like this is more than enough to put the mold, or to make the form, shape the mold. If you have to hit it, you know, wait till the end and use a rubber mallet. You don't need to go crazy with it. Stuff is designed for this. Its sole job is to do what you're trying to make it do. And people who are way smarter than me have designed this stuff to do exactly what it wants. Or exactly what they want. Not exactly the scraper I was looking for, but you know what the heck. Perfect. There's no detail on this side, by the way. So I'm a lot less worried about sifting the sand. But I am worried about making sure I have enough parting compound on this side. So this is what separates the two pieces. When we separate the two pieces. Beautiful. Just because people feel cheated if they don't see it. Now for the moment of truth. Let's see what we got. Well, pretty much exactly what we expected. And leave that alone for a minute, because that doesn't matter. I can see my mold here, so I'm going to put a vent hole right here. Dead center bottom. Sorry about that. All my tools got put away somewhere weird when we cleaned last. So this is what I pour in. And I want it just barely on the edge here. This is just a piece of conduit that has been sharpened. Now, these are super thin, so I'm going to want to make sure there are plenty of air holes. So as long as there's air holes, copper tends, or the brass tends to flow a little better. And I'm not super worried about it, because most of this is just going to get flat anyway. I don't need any in the dead center, but I might put a small channel in between here. As long as I got the 2 holes on the sides, or the 4 holes, I suppose, it'll work. It's not for the fun part. See what we got. I designed this with a lot of draft, which means the edges are set up to do this. That doesn't mean it likes doing it. I don't know if I'm going to get... You know what? I need to be exactly where you are. So we're going to move you. Maybe I'll try it from the other side. We'll try it from the other side. Nope. The whole thing just popped loose on me. For the project I'm using, that might actually just still work. I'm going to cast it. I'm probably going to cast 2 of them then. At this point, that mold's good enough for now. Like I said, I'm going to cast a bunch of things. I have a bunch of these. So I'm going to make a few of them up. We'll see what we do. Oh, what I said about draft. Here. If you look, this is angled down and that's angled up. So it's wider at the base than it is at the top. That way when you pull it out, everything's more likely to stay in the mold. That's what I meant by draft. Yeah, let me put the lid on first. not bad. So look at that. Almost everything turned out. My coin's a little funky. A little bit of edge issues here. Not a big deal. That's just something I play with. Whenever I have extra room, I throw one of those in. But these turned out fantastic. My little dew claw. I'll have to cut it up. A little bit of cleanup, and they will look as fantastic as these do. And we'll finish the setup. But oh my goodness. I am super happy with tonight's pour. Everything went really well. That almost never happens. So, like I said, I'm going to take it over to the bandsaw, cut off all the excess, take it over the grinder, and then the buffer, and that's where we're at now. These castings came out fantastic. I'm super happy with them. They're not perfect. There's a lot of cleanup, but it will absolutely do exactly what I need it to. Next step is to cut all the sprues off, grind it clean. Speaking of which, I'm going to put you back behind the screen for a minute, right? I want you to see a couple of things. Give me a second. Give me one of those few times I actually move the camera. We're all familiar with this scene, right? This is my table. This is what I usually show people. You see all my bins that are neatly stacked and organized, and right? We don't see the other side. It's a bunch of foam for a project I got coming up, right? Some leather for another project I got coming up. Foam for a third project. I have a couple of belts. So the table looks clean, right? I have a ton of work in progress stuff. We're not done yet. It's my bandsaw in its current state. Oh my goodness. Wooden forms from the pouch project, which are kind of tools but don't really have a home. Another project I'm currently working on. A little spoiler for you. Just keep rotating. See what else we can find. This is my arm saw, right? Lightsaber coming up. This shouldn't be there, but it's fine. My lathe, which is behind my grinder and polisher. My grinder and polisher are here because I don't really have the room I need to do the things I need. Let me reset. We'll be right back. So this is super important. I'm about a big work table away from having everything perfectly organized. I get that big work table, I'll still be about a big work table away from being perfectly organized. Projects that are done all have homes. Everything that's done has a home. It's the work in progresses that tend to over-encompass everything for us, right? My grinder lives all the way over there. I have to bring it over, set it down, bolt it in place whenever I want to use it. Unbolt it, move it back, pull the lathe out, bolt it in place. I don't have the space I want, but I have to use the space I have. So I make this area look nice and clean when I film. And I try to push everything off. Now when I'm going to go film over at the bandsaw, move all that stuff somewhere else. And I'm going to film a semi-clean area, right? And that's kind of how the thing goes. We're always moving one thing to another. And if some of this hits real close to home, it's okay. That's super important, right? I keep saying that, and it is. I've seen a lot of makers on YouTube who have these nice pristine areas. And they're like, it's all clean. It's always clean because it's my workshop and it's my tent. It's bullshit. It's not. Right? And that's okay. It's okay to have projects in process, just kind of off to the side. It's okay to have a couple things on your tool bench or on your tools. I don't run the tool in these states. I will clean and move so I have a nice safe work area. But it is okay to not have everything perfectly clean. No matter what you see on YouTube, it is okay to have a messy workshop. It's okay to need to move things to do a project. And don't let anyone else, me included, make you feel like it's not. All right, back to the project. Last little bit. Under the table, it's all my jukebox stuff and a box of Rebound 25. Again, two different projects. They're everywhere. All right. Now that I got the sprues off, there's still a little cleanup in the back. It's pretty warm. This will work harden. So I'm gonna have a bucket of water by me. Grind it, dip it, grind it, dip it. You'll see. I do not have long sleeves on during this process. But I do have headphones on. Has turned out absolutely amazing. Right? Let's see if we can get it to focus for a second. Nothing shines like metal. It's quite like metal. Here's the other glorious part you never hear about. Lawnmowers. My neighbor's mowing his lawn, and I'm cleaning molds. Getting metal stuff is all super neat and cool, and I love doing it. But man, the cleanup's annoying as all get out. It takes forever. It gets everywhere. It's like sand. It is sand. Oh my god, he was right. I'm just cleaning in the same bucket. Put the mold pieces together. Set them up to the side. Move on to the next. A little bit of polishing. Look at that thing. That is amazing. Oh, I'm so happy with it. The look I'm going for is a little more distressed, a little more weathered, a little more worn. So that came out as good as could be hoped. Interesting thing. This is kind of neat. If you look in his eye, the zinc boiled off in that one spot. Well, there's a couple of them. So the copper showed through and it patinaed just a little bit. I find that super entertaining. A little down here too. But for what I'm going for, these are perfect. And this turned out amazing. I'm gonna drill out these and cut them so I can put leather on the other side. But you know, you don't need to stick around for that. That's That's silly. That's perfect. I love that. From a bunch of random brass scraps to this. Neat. That's fun. I do lots of fun things here. And if you're new, maybe think about subscribing. If you're old, you should definitely think about subscribing. Like and comment. You know the spiel, right? Engagement brings my video to other people, and I want other people to see what I got. Did a couple shorts the other day that did really well, and I'm like, whoa. All right, maybe I'll have to do more shorts. But either way, hope to see you next week.